Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to explore a concept today that honestly might completely change how you handle your daily anxiety. In this explainer, we are looking at stress not just from a traditional spiritual angle, but really digging into it from a psychological counseling perspective. We're going to unpack how a simple, conscious shift toward compassionate intention acts as an immediate, highly effective clinical intervention for our stressed-out minds. So let's get started. There is this incredible quote from the ancient text, the Bodhicharvatara. It says, "If one merely thinks of healing the headaches of sentient beings, having this beneficial mind, the merit gained is endless." Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is the immediate shift in perspective. In modern psychological counseling, we talk a ton about self-compassion to reduce stress, right? But this text is suggesting a mechanism that's equally powerful, an outward flash of genuine care. Just taking a second to wish for someone else's pain to stop actually generates a profound positive shift in our own psychological framework.
We've all bought into this myth at some point. The idea that healing and helping require these grand, monumental gestures and highly visible results. But that myth creates a really strong psychological attachment to visible outcomes. And when we obsess over measurable results, we are literally just inviting burnout. The reality is quite different. A clinical counselor will often help clients detach from those rigid, exhausting expectations by having them focus on pure intention instead. Simply cultivating a compassionate mindset holds infinite value. It's an internal shift that dramatically reduces negative clinical emotions and finally frees us from that heavy, outcome-based anxiety.
So why does a simple thought relieve our own stress? Well, it all comes down to egocentrism. Think of egocentrism as that self-centered anxiety that acts as the absolute root of our negative clinical emotions and psychological attachments. When we're tightly wound up in how every little thing affects us personally, we suffer. It's exhausting. Compassion steps in here as a highly targeted remedy. By focusing on pure intention toward another person, we resolve the pain of egocentrism right at its source. We break that suffocating loop of self-obsession.
And the best part? It all comes down to the power of just one single thought. That fleeting, genuine wish for another person's relief is the exact spark that begins rewiring a stressed mind into a resilient one. It beautifully bridges the gap between a profound spiritual remedy and a practical clinical psychological tool.
Moving on to our next section, the journey of a thought, daily compassion and resilience. Let's trace how we can actually apply this.
Let's look at how we can take this spiritual guidance and apply it as a daily cognitive reframing tool, exactly the way a counselor might guide a client. From a professional helping perspective, a therapist might assign these specific microhabits to build psychological resilience against your daily triggers. Step 1, you wake up and just wish all beings peace. Step 2, silently offer relief to those you physically see struggling throughout your day. And Step 3, commit to being a source of joy. Now, these aren't just nice thoughts to make you feel warm and fuzzy. They actively deepen your intention and structure a very concrete process of inner psychological transformation.
Okay, let's apply this to something we all deal with: workplace interpersonal stress. A counselor would guide you to use compassionate intention to build a protective psychological boundary against office toxicity. Imagine a colleague is facing a mental low point or dropping the ball. Offering quiet understanding instead of harsh judgment prevents you from getting entangled in all that frustration. It's a game changer. You establish mutual resilience and, more importantly, you protect your own mental energy.
And what about at home? Caring for sick or aging family members often leads to severe burnout, mostly because of our psychological attachment to the burden of the work. Shifting your mental framework from an exhausting chore to a compassionate practice is a massive clinical adjustment. Approaching that caregiving with a gentle tone and choosing patience actually dissolves the inner resentment. It prevents emotional exhaustion, even when the physical tiredness is very real.
Now, this is where it gets profoundly powerful. What happens when we ourselves face adversity? Transforming personal suffering into compassionate empathy is a brilliant clinical pivot. Instead of falling into that heavy despair when we're sick, we can actually use our own pain to wish others well. Seriously, rejoicing in the potential relief of others actively helps adjust your own psychological framework when facing severe illness. It turns pure vulnerability into boundless empathy.
To really build this habit, counselors often help deepen a client's intention by providing concrete psychological targets. So, try this. Wish the sick swift relief. Wish medical staff peace and unhindered wisdom to do their jobs. Wish the healthy use their vitality to help others.
and hey, even wish animals safety and freedom from fear. This structured approach ensures that literally every single encounter becomes an active step in your inner transformation process.
The root of true healing is not physical medicine, but the pure intention to help. Intention is the radiant medicine for all beings. True healing is, at its absolute core, a mental awakening. When dealing with psychological attachment, spiritual guidance often emphasizes letting go, while psychological counseling focuses on building coping mechanisms. Pure intention is the bridge between those two worlds. The pure intention to help acts as a radiant psychological medicine, instantly releasing our tight grip on stress and finally clearing our minds.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Have you underestimated the power of your own kind thoughts today? The next time you feel that heavy grip of overwhelm, don't try to frantically fix the outside world. Just find one person and silently wish for their relief. By transforming life's stresses into opportunities for compassionate practice, you might just find the exact medicine your own mind needs to heal. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep reframing, and I'll see you next time.